Hi, this is Sherry, aka Vash, ambassador for Trek and founder of Matriarchal Society, and you're listening to Radio Free Decipher.
All right, welcome to this special edition of Radio Free Decipher. We have, of course, with us, as always, is Evan Lawrence.
How's it going, man?
Very good, sir, very good.
Joining us today,
yeah,
Tom Litchke. How are you?
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Yep.
You ready to talk Jedi Knights with the group?
Sure. Been waiting a while to do this, so it should be a good time.
This is going to be interesting.
Yep. We have for you today a show completely dedicated to Jedi Knights and answering questions. We're going to be taking phone calls from people out there and basically, talking whatever they want to know. We're going to try and give them answers. So, you ready for this, Tom?
Yep.
All right. First on deck, we have Jared Greenwald from the New Hampshire area.
How's it going?
Not too bad. How's it going?
Very good, very good.
Excellent.
What would you like to know?
My question was, I was looking at the rules and at the battle segment stuff, and my question was when a card is rotated, is it considered to be like untouchable for the rest of the turn?
Not really. With the segment that we released on the battle section to the Be First guys, we cover some of the ready and rotate. What really happens is when you're ready, you're still available to be the attacker, be attacked, take an action to support the person who is attacking. Basically, the way the battle initiation works is a character who's still ready will rotate to target somebody on the other side, or if it's a starship, target a starship on the other side, and the target of that is the defender. The defender can be something that's already been rotated earlier in that battle phase, so it's not once it's rotated, it's not by any means untouchable. It just means that it can't declare for several different actions anymore. It's sort of done its thing for that turn.
For those of you that aren't aware of Jared's question talking about the rules, we have the Be First area of Decipher.com where you can be the first to learn Jedi Knights gameplay and see the cards and do different things. And what we did recently was send out a segment of the rules to all those people. So, do you have any other questions for us, Jared?
Yeah. So basically, it's more of like a follow up to the
Sure.
original question. The question is once the card is rotated, it's obviously not untouchable, like you said. But so if I was to attack someone with one of my cards and I rotate it and I support it with a couple of other characters because it has the leadership icon, can it still be used as a defender? Can cards that are rotated still be used to defend in a battle?
They can be. It's just a touch more deep than that. They can be. Your opponent or opponents could target that card as the defender in a subsequent battle, but unless you had some special event that lets you, or the card, some cards actually have game text that says may support a character even if rotated, so then they could come in and support somebody, but normally the baseline mechanics would mean that's a resource that you've already used that turn.
Okay, so even though a ship that's targeted that's rotated can still defend in a battle, just that it can't be supported or it can't have supporting characters.
It can be supported, but it can't take an action to support.
Okay.
So, all right.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
So there are just to clarify, there are actions that specifically rotate a character, and unless game text specifies otherwise, they cannot. Once they're rotated, they cannot take another action that causes them to rotate.
Yeah, you'd need some very specific text that allowed one of those actions once it's already been rotated.
All right.
So for one of the when you use your influence, I think it was, or during the blockade phase,
intimidate.
You can intimidate. If you were to intimidate somebody's character, that character wouldn't be able to support in ground battle. Right.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Thanks very much.
All right. Thank you.
All right, next up we have Mike from Arizona. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. How you guys doing?
Good. Always fun to talk to you here.
We just had you on recently, didn't we?
Yes, you did. You had me on for the Deck Tech Players Challenge.
All right, man. So,
you got a question for Tom?
Actually, I did.
Lay it on us.
Tom, I'm interested in the mechanics of the Jedi Knights card game. I understand that it will have different mechanics than both the Star Wars and the YJ engines that you guys currently have as card games. Can you give us any idea about like the playability of the cards and like how they're going to incorporate like into the game?
Sure. Nice general question, I guess. A little history of Jedi Knights, maybe. It was originally way back when intended to be a version of Young Jedi for the classic timeline, but we realized that we wanted to do a whole lot more, like add a lot more depth to the gameplay than YJ. YJ is meant to be an entry-level game with some ongoing depth being added. We wanted to start Jedi Knights a lot further down that road of having some good core gameplay and satisfying depth to the game. That meant that we ended up putting a lot more effort into having good, satisfying multiplayer and team games just as a goal this time through. It's something that we hadn't really done before with any of our games besides Austin Powers. Had some multiplayer to it. We wanted to get a team aspect in this time too if we could, just because it's something that we felt hadn't really been explored before. So that's been a lot of fun the whole way through the playtesting process and whatnot. The theme type decks with each character being his own theme really lends to that very well too. So I think that's going to really be a neat part, and there's just going to be a lot more depth in Jedi Knights than you saw in YJ. I don't know if it will have as much depth as the Star Wars customizable card game, but I think that you'll see a lot of lessons learned from Star Wars, and it'll be a lot cleaner in the implementation, just due to the fact that we've had time to think about the CCG thing. So with Jedi Knights, you'll see probably the results of that experience.
Wow, that's a pretty extensive answer. Thank you for that explanation. Is the multiplayer going to be the same, like Decipher sanctioned tournament format? Are you guys going to provide the same support for Jedi Knights that you do for the other card games?
You know what? That's something a little bit more for our marketing guys to answer. I'm not real sure exactly how we're going to go with it. I'd like to see, I'm sure you'll see support for it. I'd hope that the multiplayer format will be something that players are excited about and want to get into. So if that's the case, I think you'll definitely see us putting forth some programs to support that. Kyle, do you have any?
Yeah, we definitely have a tournament scheme planned for Jedi Knights. As a matter of fact, it's even being worked into the championship circuit at certain levels. So look for that definitely this year. And the support will be absolutely either equal or superior to past games. We haven't defined all of that yet, but we're moments away from that. So it's exciting stuff, and it should be here soon.
Right. Like my local store said they got struck by a bunch of rebel strikers at night, and they said that there was they let on something about a league. Can you give me any more information about that?
Yeah, that's something that I think it's something that we've been thinking about for other games for a while, but with the introduction of a new game, we decided to try out our league format with Jedi Knights. It'll be a good way for new players to get a taste of trading card games and learn some of the basics and have some mentoring going on from other players in the league. There's a path that they can go down to gain some exclusive cards that will be in that league. Those have been the tough ones to design, actually, because we want to make it so that it's a nice thing to have if you're in the league, but for our experienced players who just want the core down in the dirt tournament play, they don't really need to go and chase those down. Or even if they want to, they'll probably have some avenues that there'll be enough players who go the league route that they'll be able to chase those cards down too. So I think that'll be a real nice opportunity.
Yeah, the leagues are really an interesting thing that we're excited about. It's going to basically be a farm club. You'll sort of go through the leagues maybe and then graduate into big tournament play. It's going to be a place where you can test out decks without having to worry about rankings or anything like that. It'll be more of a comfortable atmosphere and not as competitive. yet a place where you'll have lots of people to be able to test decks with and play with. So it's going to be really good stuff. So.
Right. Okay. Thank you. That answers all my questions.
No problem.
Well, thanks for calling in, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Gerard.
Bye.
All right, we have on the phone now with us Brian Kano from New York. How you doing, Brian?
Yeah, pretty good.
All right, so what's your question you got for Tom today?
My question is in reference to the theme decks. I know there's the different themes, the Luke deck, the Vader deck. My question is, how many different themes are planned for the first release, and how do you plan to continue on with the next sets? Like, what are some of the ideas floating around?
Okay. For the first set, for the Alliance, there'll be Luke and Han, and for the Empire, there'll be Vader and Grand Moff Tarkin. For the second set, which the working title right now is Scum and Villainy, our major gameplay innovation is going to be adding basically a third allegiance. There will be independent characters in the first set, which will be usable by either side. But in the second set, which would be the first expansion, there'll be independent heroes, and right now it'll probably be Boba Fett and Jabba the Hutt. We'll have a couple extra heroes in there, maybe like Luke and Leia and who's the other one? Obi-Wan. I think was probably scheduled for the second set as well. But what the independent heroes is going to let us do is expand the multiplayer formats a little bit to either 3-player or 6-player games, and it'll be a 3-sided game where you'd have Alliance, Empire, and an independent side. So that should be a fun thing to check out once that set comes out. And then in the final set, we'll probably put in Yoda. Let me think. The Emperor will be a hero in that set. And then probably Vader and Luke again, maybe, or we could come up with a couple different heroes. That's sort of a little ways down the line, so still remains to be seen. But that's the basic plan right now.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it should be fun. We haven't done that theme thing before, so
yeah, it's definitely something new. That's I think around here the buzz is that's what we're curious about, because it's just different all across the board.
Sure. Yeah, the one thing we're trying to strive for a little bit is some immersion in the play experience for the players, and with that format, it'll just be a lot more identifiable for the player. They'll be able to identify with the hero of their deck and choose guys that they really like for the movies.
Right.
So I think that'll be a fun way to go.
You going to be at the big Neutral Ground affair this weekend?
Oh, I'll be there.
Do you know if speaking of buzz up there in New York, do you know if a lot of the other players are talking about being there for that and learning how to play Jedi Knights?
That's actually, of everything, the big buzz is definitely Reflections 2. And that foil sheet everyone's kind of talking about. And if not as much or greater, everyone's talking about Jedi Knights.
Cool.
And the first look, just, what's it about? What are they bringing? What are they going to? What are the cards? And so many questions, I can't answer them all.
We got some other really good surprises for everyone that we haven't talked about yet, too.
Ooh.
So if you're in the New York area trying to make it to Neutral Ground tomorrow night, 7 o'clock or before, there's tournaments going on all day.
Oh, definitely.
All right, man. Thanks very much for the call.
No problem. Thank you.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Next up, we have Ross Renault from up in Canada. How's it going?
Hey, not bad. Yourself?
I'm pretty good. How are things up there?
I got some snow yesterday out on the west coast, but otherwise things are going good.
How unusual for Canada.
That's actually, I think, why everybody should live in Southern California. I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, but Kyle, you moved out east.
Yeah, but it's 70 degrees here today.
Oh, jeez.
You have a question for Tom?
Yeah, Tom. I'm wondering about the Starship Battles and such. I was looking at the cards, and Red 2 only seems to take Wedge. Like, with the original CCG, you could put, Jack Porkins in the Red 2. You don't get the battle modifier, but you're still piloting Red 2. Could you describe more about the Starship Battles? Like, will I be able to play Wedge on the Red 2, or can I play other characters?
Sure. The way it works, well, actually, we had some, when we took a look back at Star Wars, there were a couple things that we liked and a couple things we really didn't like. And in the Death Star 2 expansion, we had added some cards to enhance the unique starships. And once we decided for Jedi Knights that basically everything we could was going to be unique, we really wanted to make sure that that wasn't a drawback like it turned out to be in SWCCG. So we decided to basically use the same trick that we used late in the life cycle of SWCCG and basically put a permanent pilot on all of the unique ships, but have them be replaceable. So,
okay, so I can play Red 2 without the pilot.
Right.
As flanking.
Yeah.
What have you.
Yeah, it's fully functional and it can support and whatnot, but it will be just a straight up enhancement to have the matching pilot on board. But you're right that only the matching pilot is going to be able to go aboard the given ship, and that was to increase some storyline where we could and add some immersion where we didn't think it would cost a whole lot of gameplay options just because the permanent pilot was already always sitting on there.
Yeah.
So you're right that it's a fairly different change and it's a different approach to that system, but I think that we improved a couple of the things, and I hope that the negative of not being able to put Han on Red 2 or being able to put Biggs on the Falcon, that's the one drawback, and I'm hoping that's not such a big deal to players. Hopefully they'll enjoy the story of the other part.
The fact that you can play just the Starship immediately, at least you're not waiting for Wedge to come up on your draws.
Right.
So.
That they're fixer cards are always a little bit distasteful, and we had to do a couple of fixer cards for the unique ships in the first game, so we wanted to address it systemically for Jedi Knights, and I think we got it. So, like I said, what really is going to be nice is, say you get the Falcon out, you draw Han, it's just a straight bonus to put Han on his ship, and then because you'll also be able to have him fight later in the same turn. The way the turn sequence is laid out, you have Starship Battles, a little phase that lets you make double use of your capital ships, and then you have character battles on the ground. And the guys there's a little move phase for the pilots that are aboard the ships where they're allowed to go down to the ground and fight for you there as well. So they will do double duty, but the risk is you put them on board that starship, and if that starship loses a battle first, you lose that pilot. So it's a little risk and reward there too.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thanks for calling.
Thanks a lot, Tom.
Sure.
All right.
Take care, man.
Yeah, bye.
Next up, we have Jean-Luc from Canada. How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Do you have a question for Tom?
Yeah. I would like to know especially about multiplayer game because Star Wars is not really designed for it. How about Jedi Knights?
Okay. This goes back to the theme cards that we were talking about a little earlier in the program. With there being 4 themes in the first set, and there'll be more themes in the future sets. The way the multiplayer will function is, for the first set, it will be 4 players and 2 players each for Alliance and Empire, and each of them will choose a different theme. And basically, we really try to set up the multiplayer so everything is as cooperative as it can be. And the more cooperative you are, probably the more success you'll have in that format. If you meet with your teammate the night before and plan out the decks you're going to play. So you figure out the strength. Say I'm playing a Luke theme deck, and Kyle's playing a Han theme deck. I'll figure out that maybe mine is a little bit weak in space, but his is strong, so he'll concentrate on the space side of the game, and mine would be a little stronger in the character battle. So I might put in a few extra cards to deal with that, and knowing that he'll cover the weaknesses of my deck. Then in the future, with the first expansion release, Scum and Villainy, we're going to add independent-themed heroes as well, which will create basically a third allegiance. And that will open up the multiplayer even further, because we can either play, you can play a 3-player game where 1 player is the Empire, 1 player is the Alliance, and 1 player is playing as an independent hero, such as Jabba or Boba Fett. You could play 6 players even with that, where there's 2 players on each of those sides, because there'll be these 2 heroes from each of the different allegiances. You can go back and play. Actually, at that point, you'll be able to play an 8-player game even. You could play 4 against 4 with the 4 different Alliance themes that will be available once the first set's out, and having the 2 Empire and the 2 independent themes combine on one side, on one 4-player side in the team game. So there'll really be a lot of options available in the multiplayer game. Should really be a lot of fun.
Excellent. Also, another question. Will the deck you use in multiplayer be about the same one you use in regular game? Meaning, if I'm with three friends at the gaming shop or something, and let's just play multiplayer, can we just take out our deck and play?
They'll be functional. It depends if you're a casual gamer or a hardcore gamer. The hardcore gamer is really going to want to probably keep some separate decks for that. There won't be huge differences, but you might, like I was talking about before, about covering the differences between the two decks. You're probably going to want to make sure that you're really optimized to, play to your strengths and cover your opponent or cover your teammates' weaknesses. But for the casual player, it's fine. I mean, you could take your, once the tournament's over, if it's a single-player tournament, you could take your decks and drop down a multiplayer game. And, have a good gaming experience with that. Something I touched upon in the first part, which I didn't really complete now that I'm looking back at it. The other thing, in addition to building your decks together, the sides will sort of take their turns as a team. It won't necessarily be each player on the side taking their own set of actions. The teams will be taking an action in a battle if a battle goes back and forth. It won't be player A or if we use the example me and Kyle on the same team again. I won't take the action. Me and Kyle will take the action, so we'll decide what's best for us. If it's his Han firing the gun, or if it's my Luke getting an event that adds a couple points to his power. I might take 3 actions in a row, and then Kyle takes an action when we're having that battle. But it's it just will pay to be a good teammate and plan out what you're going to do.
Sounds very different.
Yeah, I think it is a lot. It's very different from anything we've done for sure, but I think it might even be fairly different from a lot of the team games I've seen before, where the players actually act fairly independently but get scored as a team. These guys, you're totally devoted to your team in this format. It doesn't pay to try to get ahead of your teammate because you'll be scored exactly the same with him. So.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jean-Luc. Hope that answered your question.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, thanks a lot. That's going to do it for us today. Thanks for taking all the questions and answering all the, community's concerns.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. It's nice to see what everybody's thinking about and what they're looking forward to, and it's nice to see that some of the things that are on their minds are some of the things that we made it a point to really try to do a good job and cover. It's rewarding to hear that that's the kind of thing that's caught their eye.
Absolutely.
Okay, everybody out there, have a good weekend.
And remember that RFD this weekend is in 2 parts.
Yeah.
So be sure and check out the other part. Lots of good information in there for you. Have a good weekend.
Hello, welcome to the second installment of Radio Free Decipher this week. Still got Kyle with me.
Hello, hello.
Only we are joined now by a special guest, Monica, from over at our Main Street offices. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Good.
Now, this is your first time with us here on Radio Free. What exactly, introduce yourself to everyone out there and what you do here.
All right. My name is Monica Jones. I have been a Decipher for a good long while now, probably about 5 years. I mostly have worked on all the SPG stuff, the How to Host a Murder, the Boy Crazy game that you guys all love so much, and Pente and Stir Crazy and all those specialty products type games.
But recently you've also been helping out over here a lot with the CCG department, correct?
I have been. I've been coming over here and bonding with all the CCG guys. Have been helping out on the marketing of Jedi Knights, which has been the big focus for us.
You excited about it?
Very excited about it.
Now, your name has been going on a lot of the press releases that we've been putting up on the website recently. Have you been getting lots of emails from people on our side of the industry that, are they asking you good questions?
Everyone who sends me an email thinks I know a lot about the CCGs. But I've been able to fudge it a little bit and, just give them what they're asking for.
Excellent, excellent. So now you're on here today with some pretty big news, especially for all the...
all Star Trek fans like me.
Exactly.
We have got some really exciting news that I just can't wait for everyone to find out. Everyone knows that WotC announced that they bought Fantastic Media a few weeks ago, or maybe even a month ago. But the truth of the matter is, Decipher acquired all Fantastic Media's assets. and we're announcing that today. And what that means is we have all the staff who developed and founded both the Star Wars and Star Trek fan clubs over 20 years ago. And so we feel like we've got the real feather in our caps, and we want to share it with everybody.
So what exactly then did Wizards of the Coast acquire?
Wizards of the Coast acquired the Star Wars fan club, which basically is comprised of a membership list. We've gotten all the people who created the Star Wars magazine, the Star Wars Insider, the Star Trek Communicator, John Snyder, who has been the editor-in-chief, and everyone really loves that guy, and Dan Madsen, who created Celebration that we all attended out in Denver, and we've got this. We're going to continue the Star Trek Communicator. We're going to continue the Star Trek Fan Club, and we've got lots of other news coming out within the next couple of days or weeks about other fan club licenses that we're going to be announcing.
So then really we have a brand new branch of Deciferians located out in Colorado.
That's right, we do. We, I guess Dan Madsen and John Snyder are now officially Deciferians, and I think actually that they really love that title. We've had several meetings with them, and they really kind of adapted our style, and I think that, you know, we're really getting to like them and enjoy working with them.
That's outstanding.
Now, you mentioned a little bit ago that, you know, we have the Star Trek fan club, and you mentioned that there may be more on the horizon. Is there anything you can give readers at this point?
Not at this point. I can't. You know, we may be able to announce it within the next 2 weeks. You know, we're just working out the details right now.
Okay, so everybody should be staying tuned for more good news with Fantastic Media.
That's exactly right.
All right. We had an opportunity, John Snyder, we mentioned earlier, who is the editor-in-chief of Communicator, was in the office here not long ago, and we were able to record an interview with him. So that's going to follow here at the end of the broadcast. Before we get to that, though, just wanted to thank you for coming in, Monica.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. And we're hoping that next week we're going to have an opportunity to talk with Dan Madsen. Actually, we're going to do a phone interview with him, so be looking for that next week.
Okay.
All right, we're going to talk with John Snyder now, and have a good weekend, Monica.
See you at Toy Fair.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special edition of Radio Free Decipher. Very special because we've got a guest with us today, John Snyder of Fantastic Media. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. Good morning.
Yeah, and the reason being we have a very special announcement, which should be appearing on the website about the same time you'll be hearing this. And that is that Decipher and Fantastic Media are now joined together at the hip. Tell us a little bit about the merger, basically.
The merger's been a while in coming. Fantastic Media has worked with Decipher for years now. I think I first came out here in 1996 when I was editor of the Star Wars Insider to cover A New Hope expansion series. Mm-hmm. We've been a retailer with Decipher longer than that through our official Star Trek fan club catalog selling cards, and then on to the Star Trek cards, Star Wars cards. Worked together on the Star Wars Celebration. If you might recall, back in '99, Decipher was a major sponsor of that. There's just a lot of ways where we're reaching a lot of the same people on the same properties.
So now the Star Trek fan club is going to be part of Decipher, correct?
Correct. It'll be really exciting to kind of combine the Star Trek fan club with the Star Trek things that Decipher's already doing, the role-playing game and the CCG. I think there's a lot of affinity between those two groups, and there's just a lot of exciting things going on in Star Trek, period, right now. With the new series coming up, we've been in touch with John Eves a lot. He's a designer on the series. Dan Madsen, the president of Fantastic Media, is a good pal of John's, and we're really excited about things we're hearing about the new TV series. And then, of course, there'll be a new movie, probably in 2002.
Yeah, that's what we're hearing.
In addition to that, and you know, Star Trek is just so resilient. It just kind of keeps reinventing itself, and it's unique kind of in its ability to do that. So it'll be really cool to have us join forces to approach it.
Seems like we have a very bright future in store for us.
I think so. I mean, I'm still.
That's cool.
I'm always psyched on Star Trek.
So, John, tell us your role in Fantastic Media. What exactly are you doing over there for the people that don't know?
Well, I was vice president over at Fantastic Media of basically publishing, online operations, and also circulation. I really focused a lot on our publishing aspects. I was executive editor of our Star Wars Kids magazine, and I've always been the editor-in-chief for the last 5 years of the Star Wars Insider.
Mm-hmm.
And I've kind of come to the whole business from publishing. There's nothing more exciting to me than working on a project that's a printed object and then opening that first box when it comes back from the printer. It's just really cool to work with a lot of creative people and see something come together like that. And I love magazines. I think magazines are awesome, and I think bringing the magazine publishing that we do with the games and other things that Decipher does is going to be really cool.
Excellent, excellent. Well, tell us a little bit about the history of Fantastic Media. How has the company gotten to where it is today?
The company was started by Dan Mattson, basically in his parents' basement in 1979. He was a big Star Trek fan. He had started an unofficial club just for his friends having to do with Star Trek. But it kind of took off a bit and had a lot of people joining it. And eventually Paramount said, what you're doing is illegal, but we like you, and we would actually like to license a fan club for the first time. And I think Dan met Gene Roddenberry at that time, and they hit it off very well.
Yeah.
And so Dan was licensed to do the first official Star Trek fan club, and that happened around '82. And he started putting out a small, it was like 7 inches by, maybe 6 by 4 inches, a little newsletter. Later on, started selling different product, was covering mostly the Star Trek movies that were coming out. In '86, he started covering the genesis of the Next Generation. They had the first interview with the cast of the Next Generation when nobody knew who they were. Shortly after that, Lucasfilm had come to Dan and said, we're sick of doing our fan club in-house. Would you like to do Lucasfilm fan club, as it was called at the time, or in other words, the Star Wars fan club? And Dan said, sure. And he started doing that also. And over the years, he's done other clubs. We did a Back to the Future club years ago for the 3 movies. He did started the Sci-Fi Channel magazine when it first came out, and done a few other things here and there. And over the years, though, Star Wars and Star Trek has been the real main focus. But it was always kind of begun with Star Trek, and so that's why it's kind of really coming full circle now, getting involved with Decipher and the Star Trek things that they do.
And at what point did you step into the picture?
I stepped into the picture in 1994. Like Dan, I started doing an illegal copyright infringing fanzine called Report from the Star Wars Generation.
Okay.
But once again, I think Lucasfilm recognized a need for a connection with their fans and saw what I was doing and saying, well, there's something of value here. They hooked me up with Dan in '94, and we started working together and kind of been working together ever since.
Now I'm curious, does working with it day in and day out detract at all from your enjoyment of Star Trek and Star Wars?
Well, it definitely can have an impact. You have to sometimes separate yourself as a fan from some of the things you're
from the
doing.
work.
Yeah, but then there's also times where the work is just really kind of like, you're sitting there and you're going, wow, I can't believe I'm doing this, because it's really fun. Like, for example, I was an extra in episode 1.
Where were you at?
I was a Nabooian citizen.
All right.
But you won't see me much in the film because I had big, nasty sideburns that didn't look very Naboo at the time. So Dan was also an extra, Dan Mattson, and you can see him very clearly holding the reins of a
Jar Jar Ziopi.
Yeah, or Kadu or something. I don't know.
One of the Naboo creatures at the end, right?
Yeah, we always call him the Kadu handler.
Okay.
Oh, I see.
In our request to Hasbro for exclusive action figures of him and whatnot. But that was a pretty wild opportunity. working with, getting to know Rick McCallum, and going over to Leavesden and doing that was really cool. Rick McCallum's a great guy, and he's always been really. It's been when you meet people like that, it's kind of it's really exciting. It's really exciting.
So tell us a little bit about the future. Now that you're part of the Decipher team, tell us about what we have in store for us.
Well, I think we're looking at a lot of ways that we can combine forces on at least the Star Trek license and do some new fun stuff, especially with the new series coming. Nothing that can really be talked about right now, but there's just going to be. Decipher is just such a wildly creative company. I mean, you sit down and talk with Warren for a while, and it's just really clear he's just kind of bursting with ideas for the properties, and we're going to be really excited to kind of work with that sort of energy and turn it on Star Trek. And then beyond that, I think that we can really set our sights on maybe some other things, some other properties, new properties, different licenses. There's a lot of there's other things out there that, I mean, people think of like Star Wars and Star Trek as kind of the granddaddies of them all because they've been strong licenses for so long, and they're great properties that people really love. And there's also other things out there, and I think we'll look to expand the kind of magic that Decipher brings to what it does to other realms in the near future.
Exciting. Very cool. Well, thanks for taking the time to sit down with us here. It's good to have you with us.
It's nice for you to have. It's been fun, man.
Cool.
All right. Well,
have a safe trip back. You're now living in North Carolina.
I'm living in North Carolina.
And have a safe drive back. And we'll be talking to you a lot more very soon.
All right.